Hey Clashers, we have 5 heroes now in Clash of Clans, and the question is, what is the best pet you can combine with each hero depending on the strategy? The same, which equipment should you combine with every single hero depending on the strategy, and what heroes in general should you bring into your attacks depending on the strategy? Let's just go through 10 of the top strategies right now, and we're starting things off with dragon attacks. Dragon, Super Dragon, all of those type attacks are running the same heroes and the same equipment with the same pet combination. On the Warden, with the Owl, with the Rage Gem, you're super supportive when it comes down to your dragons, and you don't need many spells for them, which allows you to go for crazy clone blimps, which makes your attack even stronger. As well, with having the Phoenix on that new hero, on the Minion Prince, it's kind of like an Archer Queen in the middle of the base, which can fly, and it's going to be revived for a couple of seconds and spawning a Phoenix. It's just so good in this army composition. You're bringing the King and the Queen because they together are just having an incredible synergy on the outside of a base, keeping themselves always alive. And this is why the Roy Champ has to drop out of this army composition. The next one is the Electro Dragons. Electro Dragons, and the most surprising thing, might be the Angry Jelly. So far, you always use the Phoenix on the Warden, but as I already said, the Phoenix with that new hero together is just a game changer. As well, you're using on one corner the Queen, the next closest corner the, well, new hero, the Minion Prince, and then in between the Electro Dragons. Do not use the Prince with the Electro Dragons. The Angry Jelly on the Warden is here to make sure that it does not attack in the beginning because you're relying on the Electro Dragon chains. And you don't want to have any of those offensive troops or other pets, for example, take away the chains of the Electro Dragons. The next one is the Thrower Smash, which I have posted yesterday as a guide. This troop right now is insanely strong, and especially this really unique combination of Life Gem and Rage Gem makes this even stronger, because they're always staying safe with their long range. This means the Eternal Tome ability is not really needed. If you're struggling though to keep your troops alive, you can just replace the Rage Gem with the Eternal Tome, and you have the safety net as well. With Super Bonus, for example, you want to have the Eternal Tome instead of the Rage Gem because you kind of want to have the safety because they're a closer range troop. For the heroes now, which means King and Queen, we're now going into the classic combinations, like what I call classic, because those equipment combinations, we're not going to switch for pretty much any ground attack whatsoever. And that's Spiky Ball and Earthquake Boots for the Barbarian King, and that's Heater Puppet with that Magic Mirror on the Archer Queen. Those equipments are pretty much the same for any ground attack because they're just so strong right now in synergy and in strength overall. But let's move on with the Super Witch army. This one is more about, well, somehow making up for the weakness of the Super Witches, which is time. They are quite slow, and that's why you have to bring the Fireball. The Throwers, for example, on the other side are a more faster troop. They're attacking quicker, they're dealing more damage, and this means the Fireball is not needed. On this one, because they're working so slow, the Super Witches, you need the Fireball with the Rage Gem. But on the other side, they don't have the weakness of missing hit points because they're generating non-stop their own tanks. And those tanks, those skeletons, make up for you that you can rely on no Life Gem. You don't need the Life Gem there anymore. As well, King and Queen are staying the same, overbringing the Royal Champion with pretty much all of those ground armies because, well, the Minion Prince is an air hero, so not really usable for most ground armies whatsoever. The Spear and the Hog Rider Puppet gives you offensive power and safety as well with the Hog Rider Puppet to make sure that you can use it in pretty much all of those army compositions. The Warden Charge with the Rocket Loons is the next army. On this one, you're using the Angry Jelly and the Warden Charge for the first 1 to 1.5 minutes to get as much value as possible. And the Warden Charges, unlike Town Hall 16, but on Town Hall 17 even more, are slowly but surely replacing the Queen Charges. Queen Charges are just incredibly hard to pull off. They're still viable, but for most clashes, they're just way too hard to pull off to even be viable. This is why the Warden Charges are just so much better in most cases, because of the long range of the Warden, because of the Rage Gem, which is saving you spells in general, and you still have your King and Queen with really powerful equipment, which can give you a lot of value. And just to make sure that this is not even like enough, you have the Royal Champion on the back end supported by those Rocket Loons. This is just an incredible powerful combination which was dominated in Town Hall 16, and I think it will be the same on Town Hall 17. But going from a really hard strategy to one of the easiest strategies, we're talking about Root Riders. This is pretty much the combination most pros are using, and as well the top pushers. The reason for this is the following. You're having your queen separated, typically in support with the king really close by or the siege barrack, to make sure that she can take down a big part of the base. But this leaves your Root Riders completely vulnerable to a lot of attacking or more like defending troops, like, I don't know, super minions or any other defensive clan castle troop, or now as well the defending minion prince, because that's an air attacking, like that's an air hero, right? So you need something to take it out. This is why you're using the lizard on the warden to really make sure that you're supporting your push as optimal as possible. Another army which is using a huge push is the Electro Titan army. But this army has the Electro Titans who can already attack air. So instead, you can try to go against the weakness of them, which is walls in general. This is why you're bringing the Yak now with the Warden. So you can see already, like every single pet, equipment, everything about the heroes is all about making sure that you're covering weaknesses of your army or making your strength of the army even better. On this one, we're just pushing in, and as soon as our troops, or more specific as well the healers, are taking damage, because remember, you can easily lose them to black mines or red mines, or overall the splash damage which is now in a base, you can just now recover it with the healing tome and keep everything alive. And the healers now, as soon as the healing tome is running out, are keeping everything then alive even further, and you can push through all of those different bases. The queen again on the flank is utilizing her best equipments, while the other side is getting covered by one of the best siege machines right now, which is the siege barracks, and this allows this strategy to push through everything. One strategy, pretty much one of the only strategies which benefited from the fact that the Eagle was removed, because the Eagle otherwise was one of the weakest defenses on Town Hall 15 and 16, for example. But this strategy, because it had a lot of troops in one spot with the Super Hawk Riders, the Eagle was actually somewhat powerful. For most other strategies, the Eagle was kind of like, whatever, who cares? But now, with the Eagle gone, you have way more freedom with the Hero Dive for then the Super Hawk Riders follow-up. Because there is no Eagle anymore, there is not as much splash then with that anymore, and you have the new heal spell on top, which makes this strategy then even better to run, better to use. The equipment combination on this one with the life gem on the Warden is making sure that, well, it's going to be even more powerful and more hit points on your follow-up troop, which are those Super Hawk Riders. The next thing as well, you're using the Lizard, because with the change of the defending Warden, you have now a ton of different heroes which you have to encounter, and the Lizard is going to help quite a bit. But let's talk about the Super Archer Blimp strategies, or in general, like any blimp kind of, like if you're playing the new Thrower Blimp, that's fine as well, but like whenever you're talking about any blimp, the follow-up is pretty much deciding whatever equipments or anything like that you are going to run. If you're bringing like a dragon follow-up, which is kind of common, right? Like you're playing a Super Archer Blimp and then dragons as a follow-up around this area which you have cleared, then you're just using the pets and the equipments which you would bring to a normal dragon attack. The same thing is if you're, for example, bringing like a Root Rider with Titan follow-up, it's the same story. You would bring the same equipments and the same pets as you would bring in a Root Rider attack. So that's pretty much how you play those Super Archer Blimps. You're just copying whatever the original army is running and bring it with your Super Archer Blimp. Now let's talk about Lalo. Well, Lalo, currently I would say the best way to use it is still with the Hero Dive. Because as I have already told you earlier, Queen Charges are incredibly challenging right now. Like on Town Hall 17 especially. So I think Hero Dive is the most realistic way, I would say. This is why we're bringing those pets and those equipments, because we have a nice Hero Dive in the beginning with King and Queen and their classic round equipments. The Royal Champion can always be a great addition to the Hero Dive in the beginning, but I can totally see that in the future we have the Minion Prince replacing the Royal Champion in Lalo attacks. If you're doing so, I would highly recommend you to bring with the Minion Prince the Angry Jelly and his two right now common equipments, because that should be a great addition. But at the same time, having the Royal Champion in support with those heroes in the beginning can clear quite a bit. So we have taken down the Scatter and the Multi-Arch Tower already on the flank, just because we have brought this hero, which could be devastating on the back end of a Lalo attack. So you always have to consider how much value you can get with the Royal Champ, to then pick between the new Minion Prince and the Royal Champion in general. The life gem is just a game changer because whenever you're picking many troops in one spot, the life gem is doing an incredible job of keeping all of those troops alive, because every single troop is going to have a bonus of 870 hit points, which is just crazy, crazy strong. But that's pretty much all of the strategies I wanted to talk about today. Let me know if I have missed any. Let me know if you would pick anything different. But I hope that those overall guidelines help you to pick your best combinations for your attacks. Remember as well, that was not a guide video. I will bring guides to all of those different strategies over the next couple of weeks. This was really only concentrating on what equipments to bring, what pets to bring, what hero should you use with every single strategy. I hope that was helpful. I will see you guys back tomorrow with the next video. And then see ya and bye bye.